the summer weather. Hopefully it's nice where you are. And we are going to get into the live questions in just a moment. Just wanted to let you know that today in Canada, the price was announced for the RAV4 Prime. If you missed this, it's $44,990, which makes it eligible for the federal rebate for electric cars, the Quebec rebate, and the British Columbia rebate. And because of that, depending on where you live, in Quebec, for example, you can get up to $13,000 off the Prime. And then when you calculate that in, it becomes quite an attractive option compared to the RAV4 hybrid, just the regular hybrid. Excuse me. And so what they're going to do is, because Quebec has the biggest incentives, and they also have a ZEV mandate, zero emission vehicle mandate, meaning they have to sell a certain percentage of cars in the market or else they pay fines to car manufacturers. So they're going to push the vehicles to Quebec first. That's good if you're in Montreal or Quebec City. Then they'll push them to British Columbia, because British Columbia also has a zero emission vehicle target, but the incentives in British Columbia aren't as high as Quebec. So Quebec will get most of the RAV4 Primes first, then British Columbia, then the rest of the country. Toyota claims that over 80% of all of the vehicles that they have allotted, it's because it's a 2021 model, will be in the calendar year 2021. So we're going to get a few, meaning we're going to get sort of 20% of the allotment will be this fall, but the bulk will actually be in the 2021 calendar year. Okay, some pictures to get to first. There's Adnan. Adnan has an ES350, and he says what he likes about it is it runs on regular gas, and it is a very comfortable, luxurious sedan. And this is from Simon on Vancouver Island, who has an Intermechanica, and that's a picture taken at a local cars and coffee event. Okay, if you want to get your picture through, send them to zack@motormouth.ca, ZACK @motormouth.ca, and ZACK if you're American, and we'll get them on the future show. Don't forget to sign up to carcostcanada.com. There are some very good interest rates and things on cars right now. My brother-in-law called, Andrea's brother, and he's been looking at some cars, and he said he couldn't believe that a lot of the car brands are 0% interest, and that is right now. But to find out for sure, go to carcostcanada.com. Okay, up into the questions we go. Barak recently bought a Chrysler TC, Town and Country, by Maserati. So that's the Maserati one that they use, the same platform. 130,000 miles for $35,000. Do you think it will hold up as a future collectible? Yeah, it's a cool car, but I don't think it's a future collectible. What you need is desirability, limited production, and also condition and miles. And with the miles are on yours, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a well-used car, but I don't think it's going to be a future classic. Plus the fact that it's on a shared platform with the Chrysler, I don't think it helps it. Nice car, though. This is Zach. Hey, Zach, I remember you saying that I really look young in my picture. I'm actually 41. I'm bald without the hat. Keep up the great videos, though, man. There you go. Because Zach put up a question last time, and I go, I don't know, how old are you? You look like you're 12. Scott B says, hi from Barrie. Well, hello back. Jerome is here. Hey, Zach, did you ever test drive the Wrangler Eco Diesel? If so, what are your impressions? Unfortunately, no. It's really frustrating because, you know, for us to test drive the cars, we're at the mercy of what vehicles the car companies put into what's called their press fleet. And the Wrangler, the only one we got was the 3.6 liter Pentastar, which is fine. I would have liked to have the diesel to try, and I would have liked to have the 2-liter turbo to try. So unfortunately, those were not available. Maybe get to them at some point. Hey, Zach, your thoughts on the Acura ILX compared to the A3 and CLA purely from an involved driving experience. The ILX is a surprisingly fun little car. So if you're not aware, The ILX is basically the last gen version of the Civic Si, okay, with the 2.4 liter four-cylinder engine. But what's different than the Civic is that the Civic is only available with a manual transmission, where the ILX gets a dual clutch, not a regular torque converter, but a dual clutch. So I would suggest that it's actually a really good value in the premium space. I would say the other two vehicles you're talking about, the A3 and more the CLA, if it's the brand new CLA, have a more premium interior, especially the CLA. You get the big MBUX interface. The A3 is quite dated now. It's basically a fancy Volkswagen Golf. So yeah, I think the ILX is worth test driving and taking out for a drive, and just based purely on value, you get fantastic value with that car. All right, just wanted to see if anybody was saying audio was out or anything like that. All right, we got 70 people on board and only 16 likes and 3 thumbs down. Come on, guys, you can do better than that. Give me more thumbs down. No, I mean more thumbs up. Scotty B says, what do you think of the new F-150? Should I trade in my 16 F-150 for it? Well, no one's driven it yet, Scott. I would say let's wait and see. So Ford is taking the same basic formula, which is, you know, the aluminum body on the steel frame. The engines look for the most part carried over, except for the new hybrid. You have that really cool generator feature. So let's wait and drive it. I mean, there might be some videos out there on it. I haven't seen any, not that I've been looking. So let's wait and see. I mean, it just came out. It's got some cool features though. I mean, your truck is only 4 years old. So I would wait to see what the reviews are like for it, and then you can decide. Lake Nona. Hey Zach, go Canucks. Did you see the 2021 Acura MDX redesign? If so, what are your thoughts? I haven't seen it. I was watching the Canucks game last night. Fantastic. If you're not aware, Vancouver Canucks, the local Vancouver hockey team here, taking on the Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues and dominated them 5-2. It was a really good game. Bo Horvat looked fantastic, so it was a really good game. Let's cross our fingers the Canucks can at least do a good job in this playoff run. No, I haven't seen the MDX. I've seen some leaked pictures of it, but I haven't seen the official one. Scott B, if Zach says yes, would you do it? Laugh out loud. So I guess the Queen's Half Corgi is asking, if I say buy the F-150, would you or should you? The Queen's Half Corgi is also asking, hey Zach, at the end of a lease, I have no equity to put toward my next lease or finance, correct? And will I have to pay penalties for paint chips? Doesn't make a lot of financial sense. Okay, here's the Coles notes. Basically, there's a Coles notes, the crib notes, whatever you want to call them, on leasing. When you I'll get something that sort of describes. You get typically in the mail from the lease company a piece of paper, and it has a cutout in it about that size, an SD card. It's about that big. And what you do is you go around the vehicle and you hold up scratches. And I'm just showing you this. It could be bigger or smaller. And if the scratches are bigger than the cutout in the cardboard thing, then you could be made to pay for that. If they're smaller than that, then that's normal wear and tear. Okay? So what you're saying is, will I have any equity to put towards the next vehicle? It really all depends. For example, when you take a lease, you're buying a bucket of miles or kilometers. For most people, it's say 3 years at 20,000 kilometers a year. So we'll just say you've bought 60,000 kilometers in that bucket. If, however, you've only driven 40,000 kilometers and you've paid for 60, well, there is some equity there, and the vehicle should be worth more than the buyout amount. And you can do this research yourself. So as you're getting towards the end of your lease, we'll pick the car that somebody just mentioned a moment ago, the Acura ILX. Say the buyout that you've already agreed to, you've already signed off on, is $20,000, and you've got low mileage, you haven't used that bucket of miles. You can go online to, say, Canadian Black Book, or just look online for classifieds for that vehicle, and you might see them for sale for $26,000, $27,000. So there is some equity in your vehicle. Even though the buyout amount is 20, they're trading for maybe $5,000 or $6,000 more. You can go to them and say, listen, I can give the car back to you and just walk away, or I'll buy another one if you give me roll some equity into my next car. And sometimes the dealerships will do that. I don't think that leasing is just a poor way to buy a car, and it's not good. I actually like leasing. I think it's a good way to go. Well, welcome, Jack. Come on in. Oh, come on, have a seat. Everybody wants to see your sweater. I thought you had your son's.
I did, but they've already won. So.
Oh, is it underneath?
What? The Suns? No.
Yeah. The Blackhawks are playing right now. Who's winning?
It's going to overtime, actually. It's in the intermission.
Okay.
So
well,
that's that.
Thanks for the beer, Jack.
No problem.
And how many games have the Suns won?
8.
8-0?
They're done now.
They're finished?
So the Trailblazers need to lose, or else they don't make the playoffs.
The Trailblazers have to lose.
Or the Suns don't make the playoffs.
Oh, that's too bad. The Canucks are winning, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Cheers. Thanks, Jack. What'd you get me? Peroni.
Yeah.
Nice. It's nice to have variety in the fridge. Cheers, everybody. This is the Sip and Slam. I sip, you slam the like button. That's so good. Good Italiana beer. All right. So at the end of your lease, well, I have no equity. Well, we've already established you could. And you can pay penalties for stone chips. Here's the thing is, and the way I always describe this, if you had a 3 or 4 year old car and you owned it, like you bought it, and you wanted to sell it, and there was a bunch of chips in the paint and the wheels were curbed and stuff like that, you would need to get all of that sort of addressed and fixed if you were smart before you sold it. Well, that costs some money, and it can all be done. Well, the lease company, whoever takes your car back, is also going to have to do that. So you're the person as the leasee who has to take that responsibility. But if you look after your car, you don't drive maybe all the kilometers that you paid for, you can have some equity. Any difference with the new Stinger and the newer model? We have to wait and see, but apparently it's just going to be a facelift. Maybe getting the new 3.5 liter engine. That's what we're hearing. We'll have to wait and see. Queen's Half Corgi. 3 thumbs down already. WTF do people sub and wait for the live show to start, then dislike, which is sad. Which is true. I mean, the show starts, and right away there's 3 thumbs down. Why? By the way, I don't care. It's just stupid, if you ask me. Bruce says, I don't see any hybrids from BMW Audi. Well, you need to look a little closer because BMW has a lot of hybrids. They have the 3 Series, 5 Series, X5, what other vehicle? There's probably a few more in there. And interestingly, in Europe, their plug-in hybrids are selling incredibly well. The Europeans seem to be more of the mindset that I kind of subscribe to, which is a plug-in hybrid. So basically, you get, anywhere from 30 to 50 kilometers of electric range, and then you have the gas motor on board to work as a conventional hybrid. The Europeans are open to that. Audi has said that they're going to make every model that they have available with a plug-in hybrid. They seem to be behind in North America, but they are going to be making them available. But BMW, have a look on the BMW website. You'll see for yourself. There's quite a few. There's no review for Ford Explorer. Is there a reason for that? Well, you didn't look very hard because the review for the Ford Explorer came out like 2 weeks ago. So I really encourage. It's blue. It's big. It's blue. And it's on the channel. So go back about 2 or 3 weeks and you'll see it. It's a recent video, and we weren't kind to it. How does a manufacturer ensure fair competition between their mainstream brands and their luxury division, like the new Venza is seemingly nicer than what Lexus offers? Often what it comes down to is the materials. For example, it isn't quite the same. Like the Lexus hybrid, the Lexus RX hybrid is not the same system that's in the Venza. The Venza has a 4-cylinder hybrid. The Lexus RX has a 6-cylinder hybrid. And when I did a walk-around video, you can also go on the channel. I did a walk-around video with one of the product planners from Toyota Canada with the Venza. And the way I described it, and when I asked this person I told him what I thought, and he agreed. It looks like a Lexus, but it's got Toyota-grade materials. So when you look in the finer points, often it's the materials, it's sound deadening, it's those sorts of things that that give you a differentiation between a mainline brand and a luxury brand. Some brands, the line is really quite narrow. And other brands, it's quite a big gulf between the two. But often it's materials. There's a difference in warranty. For example, in Canada, premium brands have 4-year warranty. Non-premium brands have a 3-year warranty. But there you go. There are differences. But you're right. One thing I will say is, I often mention this when I drive a lot of Korean cars. I say, what makes a luxury car? Because if you start adding up all of the features that are in cars, whether it's heated and cooled seats, whether it's semi-autonomous driving, all of the aids, all of the cameras, LED lamps, all of that, it's all the same stuff you get in a luxury car without the badge. And the badge is important. That's why the German brands and the European brands, and even Lexus to that extent, have been so successful, because people will pay extra for the brand. And that's why they market so heavily, because brand is so important. I was just about to take a sip and I got sidetracked. That's nice and cold. What's for supper tonight, Zach? I'm sat in the garden with my COVID beer. Thank you, Colin. Cheers. You must be from the East, because here we say dinner and you say supper. Supper is an Eastern thing, from what I understand. Andrea, also known in the house as Drea, is making a new recipe for chicken wings. She made them the other day for Charlie, our youngest son. And she said, what's she going to make for dinner tonight? And I said, make those chicken wings again. So they're these crunchy, crispy chicken wings that she does in the oven. Fantastic. We do like our chicken here. Best fun to drive daily driver considering reliability. Dude, price. How much do you want to spend? Is it 10 grand? Is it 40 grand? That's a very broad question. No hybrid Mercedes either. Yeah, Mercedes has some hybrids. They do. Go and have a look. David Wise said, I wouldn't buy a vehicle without test driving them first. You know how many emails I've received over the years from people complaining about something? And then I said, well, didn't you notice that on the test drive? Yeah, well, about that, I didn't take it for a test drive. I'm like, what? What do you mean you didn't take it for a test drive? Yeah, people buy cars without test driving them. I don't get it. Now that Ford has changed CEOs, do you think they'll get back into the car business again in North America? I don't believe so. There is maybe a case for a few little niche players, but no. I think that the trend is towards utilities, and even cars in the next 5 years are going to have many utility features. You're going to start to see cars with cladding on them and all-wheel drive systems, and even raised up a little bit. That's just the way it is. It's just what people buy. I did a video of the Integra GSR. It went out yesterday. So thanks again to corecars.com for lending me this car. And basically what I said was, these kinds of cars in the 90s, there was loads of them. You could get a Prelude. You could get an Integra. You could get a Toyota Celica or Celica. You could get a Paseo. You could get a Del Sol. You could get a SX240. There was loads of fun little cars. And slowly, two-door cars, they started to evaporate. We've got the Toyota 86 and the FR, not the FRS, the BRZ from Subaru. We've got Miata, but there's not that many around anymore. And it's the same with sedans. I think they can fill the needs of most people with yet another utility. Unfortunately, cars are going away. There's going to be winners and losers in every category. And I think the cars are going to be dominated by the Japanese and Koreans. And I think that's kind of who's winning right now. The Mini EV, $40,000, only 177 kilometers of range. Is that still relevant these days? No. And here's the problem with electric cars, and I've said it over and over. Electric cars are like your smartphone. Every 2 years, your plan is up, and you can get a new one. It's faster. It's got a better camera. It's got more storage. It's got a better processor. It's got all of that. You trade it. You don't even trade it in. You just get a new one, and it's better and quicker. That's the problem with electric cars. There's always an incremental improvement when it comes to range, charging speed, cost, all of those things. So a lot of times a vehicle that's been out gets leapfrogged by another brand, and then it starts to look really like not that desirable. And they're certainly not desirable in the used market. Like you look at the first generation Nissan Leafs and what they're worth in the used market, not much. Hi, Zach. My wife and I are moving from Vancouver to Montreal sometime next month, thinking about either an Audi Q5 or Discovery Sport as our daily car. Thoughts? Any other recommendations? I would look at the Volvo XC40. I would look at the Audi Q3. I think if it's just the two of you, it's just you and your wife, and you don't need the extra space in the back seat and a slightly bigger cargo area, really take a look at the Q3. I think the Q3 is a fantastic deal right now. The price isn't crazy. The good thing is for you, if you're looking at a Q5, they have great prices on them right now because there's a new model coming. And when I mean a new model, I mean a facelifted model. They did a mild refresh on the car. So they're going to be selling off all the existing ones. So you might be able to get a good deal on like a 2020. The 2021s are going to have slightly different look, and you can decide which one you want. But if you're not sold on getting the newest and the greatest, go to carcostcanada.com, sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH, and you'll see for yourself the deals. Now, I still stand by my point. If you don't need to carry people around, like a lot of people around, I think the Q3 is fantastic, and I think the XC40 is fantastic. So check out those two. The ones you've chosen are fine. Atif is saying, bringing a Lexus SC430 from the USA to Canada. Any issues in terms of country-to-country compatibility? You need to find that out because I'm not sure on the year on that. Some modifications did need to be done depending on the model. So find that out. You'll have to pay, well, maybe not now because we signed the new Trans-Pacific Partnership, and the duty is starting to come down. So it used to be a 6.1% duty, I believe, and it's going down 2% every year. So even if it's duty, it'll be 4%. But yeah, do some research on that. I'm trying to remember the name of the website. What the hell is it called? It's right on the tip of my tongue. You can go and find out what modifications. Basically, type in what modifications or website to find out modifications for importing a car. It's got 3 letters. rev.ca, I believe it is. Maybe that one. Is the Kia Stinger GT changing soon? There is a facelift of that, and we haven't seen it yet. I showed a friend of mine Car Cost Canada and Motormouth promo code, and they saved a good $3K on their purchase. Cheers. Now that I love to see. I'm going to send that along to them. Hey, listen, I'm telling you this because it works. Car Cost Canada is going to tell you what the dealer paid for the car. It's going to give you any incentives or rebates, and it's going to give you secret discounts, first-time buyer programs, student discounts, seniors programs. It's going to spit it all out for you, and then you can cross-shop. Say it's between two cars, and you'll be able to see which one is better. And they will also introduce you to a favorable dealership. So you can call their customer service number and say, for example, the Audi Q5 we mentioned just a moment ago. Hey, we're moving to Montreal. We saw on Car Cost Canada, sign up using the promo code Motormouth. We'd like to get an Audi Q3 in the Montreal area. And they will contact the dealer and say, we've got a live one here. Somebody wants one of your cars. Can you work out a deal with them? They help facilitate that. I mean, like, so somebody just sent in and said they saved $3,000. $3,000 is $3,000. That's a, nice little vacation somewhere, $3,000. Hey, we're not going on vacations. No one's going anywhere. Hey, Zach, looking for new tires for my Q5. Thinking of going Michelin Cross Climate S. What's your thought on all-weather tires? All-weather tires are really a great way to go. I would look at also, the thing is Q5. No, I was thinking now BMW for a sec. They did not run flat, so you're fine. I don't really know too much about that one. I do know that the Toyo Celsius is a good tire. The sort of granddaddy of all-weather tires is the Nokian WR, but they're expensive. So the Celsius, if this is another all-weather tire, it's not a bad way to go. So for a tire to have an all-weather rating, it has to have the mountain snowflake symbol on the side of it. Now, the mountain snowflake symbol is what's called a slip test. So the tire has to perform better okay, so you take an all-season tire, and it has to perform above that, and there's a certain percentage that it has to hit in order for the Rubber Association and Transport Canada to give it that mountain snowflake symbol. So there's two ways to go around this. You can take a winter tire and detune it, make it less aggressive and assertive with slightly less knobs and sipes in it to make it an all sort of season all-weather tire, or you take an all-season tire and you make it more aggressive. So you see what I'm saying? One starts as a snowy and ends up as an all-weather. One starts as an all-season and turns into an all-weather. So it's just a different way of doing it. So the Toyo Celsius is kind of like an all-season made more aggressive. The Nokian WR is a snowy made less aggressive, and that's how they do it. Now, typically, they use silica in the compound of the tire, which gives them the longevity, which means you can drive them in the winter and you can drive them in the summer, and they're not going to shred away, which is what would be the case with just a true dedicated winter tire. So I don't know about that one. Another one is General Tire, which is owned by Continental. General Tire makes another all-weather tire that you should look at as well. But I think, depending on where you live, in a major urban area, for example, where the snow is cleared quite quickly and you have salt and stuff put down, they're going to be just fine, the all-weather tires. Ricardo, hey Zach, what was your opinion of Saturn as a brand from GM? I own an SL1 and I lived in Etobicoke. Thanks. Greetings from Lima, Peru. Well, you have to look at the Saturn through the lens of the era, right? It was in the early 90s when the Saturn debuted, and they made a concerted effort to have a car that was going to compete with the Japanese imports. And they were pretty good. They were plastic fantastic. They had the Tupperware exterior, kind of Tupperware interior, or Fisher-Price interior. The one, what was the Saturn that they used for the Saturn, for the solstice? The Saturn Sky, I believe it was called. I thought that was the best looking one of the convertibles. But but you know, it's just like a lot of things in the auto industry. They don't keep it up, they don't keep it going, and they never really reinvested. They were not the best looking cars. They were kind of futuristic looking. Saturn owners actually liked them quite a bit. I think it was a great experiment and something that they could have refined. But like a lot of things with big car companies, they just fall off to the wayside. A good video on why Americans say Z and other English-speaking countries say Z. It is a YouTube channel called Today I Found Out. It's humorous. Interesting. Yeah, it's curious why the United States is the only country in the world that says Z. Here's the interesting thing is a lot of Americans aren't aware of that. It's like the last letter of the alphabet is actually said differently everywhere else in the world. Why they don't teach you that in grade school in the U.S., I don't know. I think VW put the GTI engine in the current Tiguan is because they say it only requires regular fuel. The GTI is in the Q3. It's not in the Tiguan. The Tiguan has 186 horsepower. From off the top of my head, the Q3 has 228 horsepower. That's the GTI engine. And here's an interesting thing. So that's one of the vehicles I was telling my brother-in-law about, Andrea's brother. He was talking about different cars, and I said, have a look at the Q3 because I'm always talking about how much I like it. And I said, it's got the GTI engine in it, and it runs on regular gas. Because it's was designed, that engine, for, as you mentioned, the Volkswagen line. They didn't want to have to require premium fuel. That's one of the reasons why I like the Q3. Runs on regular gas. Subscriber 6, SIP, 1516 Lager, Okanagan Spring. Okanagan Spring 1516, that's a good beer. That's a West Coast beer. To be more specific, that's West Coast Canada beer. Have we gotten any super chats yet? Any super chats? No super chats. Come on, guys. Type into the super chat. Hey, Zach. Hope you're doing great. Do you think Chrysler will ever address to fix the rollover issues they have that were shown in safety tests? I also need to have side airbags in the rear somehow. I'm not sure which vehicle you're talking about, so I'm not sure. I apologize. Zach, I'm planning on taking a motorcycle trip through British Columbia next month. Do you think Albertans are okay to travel through BC now? Well, there certainly is animosity. If you're not aware, there's certainly a lot of animosity towards U.S. license plates in Canada. Canada has done a very good job of flattening the curve, getting the COVID numbers down. Even in hot spots like Quebec and Ontario, the numbers in Ontario today I saw were well under 100 new cases. British Columbia, they're starting to come up, but they're still very, very low. And, you know, Canadians are proud of the fact that we've been able to achieve this, and people crossing the border and lying, saying they're going to Alaska, because you have to get to Alaska, you got to go through Canada. And then they're just going sightseeing and doing stupid things. So Canadians are getting pissed at American license plates. I think you have to, you know, you don't really know. I mean, somebody could have, I'll give you two examples. We have two sets of friends of ours, both Canadian couples, but have been living in the United States. One has been living down there for 10 plus years, become an American citizen, but still retain their Canadian citizenship. They have a house in the Kelowna area, and they decided to get out of California, and he can work remotely. And he decided with his wife to come back to Canada and cross the border. And I sent him a note on Facebook. I said, dude, be careful. You've got a California license plate on your Tesla. Maybe put a note on the back saying, we're Canadian, we're just returning home. And then another set of friend moved from the Bay Area. He's in the gaming industry with his family. Same thing. brought their Mini back, and they've got California plates on it, and they're kind of nervous about it. So, yeah, I think if you're on a motorcycle, they got you know, you got a good exit strategy. You got a fast bike. I wouldn't really worry about it. I would say, you know, you're going to be able to talk your way out of that one. If you were to pick up a Highlander, Palisade, or Telluride, which one would you pick? One answer that comes to your mind. Family is 6 here. I like the Telluride. Me, it's two things. I like the exterior styling better of Telluride, and I like the interior better. And the Highlander I like for the fact that it's a Highlander. It's going to have great resale value. But my gut says I would pick the Kia. I think that they did a fantastic job on the interior. When you compare the Telluride to Palisade, Telluride comes with much more standard equipment. You get the big screen on the Telluride as standard equipment, where on the Palisade you've got to buy the top trim. Comes standard with navigation, comes standard with a lot of features, where on Palisade you have to buy higher packages. And the Highlander is fine. They did a great job with it. It drives much, much better than the old one. I just think that the interior of those two Korean models is superior. And go and try them for yourself and see which one you like. Plus, I like the interior design of the Telluride. It's got the grab handles in the center. It's very similar to the Porsche Cayenne. What product do you use to maintain your car's finish? Well, I used to use Autoglim, which is an English product. Good, it's good stuff. But I just had our car ceramic coated. If you haven't seen it, Richard, I encourage you to go back onto the channel and look, and you'll see from about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, a video I did on having our Cayenne ceramic coated. And so far, I'm a believer. I walked out today and I was loading camera equipment into the Cadillac CT5, and I looked at our car. Sure enough, the birds had come to visit. There was crap on the hood, on the roof, on the side of the car. I got the hose out, and I got a wash mitt, and I put water all over the wash mitt, and I just put water on it, and I slowly sort of made the bird turds wet, and then I hosed it. All came off. I mean, incredible, right? So I was not a believer in ceramic coating. Now that I've done it, it's pretty cool stuff. Hey, hi from China. How are you? How did you get through the Great Wall? If you've never been to China, I've been 4 times, you can't get on things like YouTube, Facebook, Google, all those things. They call it the Great Wall. But everybody has these IP things that cheat, and you can say you're living somewhere else. But it's kind of cool. So hello, and shen shen for tuning in. I just discovered the Stinger GT has different front and different size front and rear tires. Is this more expensive when it comes time to replace? It only matters for rotating your tires. Yes, I mean, bigger tires are more expensive than smaller tires generally. So yes, it could be more expensive, and you can't rotate your tires around. You can't put the big ones on the front and the small ones on the back. But all my cars in the last few years have had, so that's called a staggered offset. So the tires in the back are bigger than the front. It's up to you. I mean, if that's really a worry for you, maybe that car isn't for you. For me, I don't care about those things. If I like the car and I like the look, and I'd just be willing to find the way to pay for them. But that's just me. I don't get hung up on stuff like that. Thinking of a 16 Cadillac CTS or ATS with the V6, which is better? The ATS has a simpler packaging. You don't get things like, you get halogen, from what I remember, halogen headlamps. But there's something about the ATS. It's a great handling little car. And I really did enjoy driving both the CTS and the ATS. But the ATS is more of a driver's car. It's got a small back seat. If you need the back seat on a regular basis, buy the CTS just purely on size. If that's not the case, and you can live with the smaller form function of the ATS, ATS is a great car. It really is a good handling car. And this week we're driving the CT5, the new Cadillac sort of replacement for the CTS. And Andrea, as we call her, Drea, is absolutely following in my footsteps with my love affair for Cadillac. I love Cadillacs. I love the way they look. I think Cadillac has done a great job with their styling. They don't look like everything else. In a cookie cutter sea of normalcy, everything looks normal. They all look similar. I think Cadillac cars look really cool. Yeah, you know what? It's not a Mercedes or a BMW or an Audi. No, it's a Cadillac. It's something different. So I really like the CT5. Andrea liked it a lot. And this is following on the heels of her really liking the CT6, which is their 3-row sort of mid-size utility. By the way, speaking of Drea, we've done this before, everyone. Get your phone out and follow along. She loves this when she says, "Oh my God, all these people are liking me on Instagram." And that's my Drea voice. So go to motormouth_Andrea, motormouth_Andrea for her Instagram, and then motormouth_Auto if you want to follow me. So there you go. You get more pictures like that. I hear Hyundai Elantra GT is being discontinued for 2021 for the US. Will Canada lose it too? So what we're getting is N-Line. It was just announced today. Elantra N-Line. So yes, the GT is being discontinued because they're just changing the name. If you go on the internet today after this live show and type in Elantra N-Line, you'll find out all kinds of information about that, okay? Just was announced today. Same engine, 201 horsepower, available dual clutch. So basically what we got with the GT, just with a new name. So that's why it's being discontinued. Zaki, is it okay to shift at 4,000 RPM or will that damage my engine? If your engine is designed to go from idle all the way up to red line, okay? You don't want to have it at red line all the time, but 4,000 RPM is not going to hurt your engine. I'm not sure what engine it is, but shifting at higher RPM is not going to hurt your engine. It's designed to rev that high. What you need to be careful of if you're driving a manual transmission is, are you operating the clutch and the transmission properly? You don't want to put too much strain on it. But no, there's no issue. The engines are designed to rev up. It's not going to hurt it. In fact, a lot of cars in modern cars spend so much time in traffic, they kind of get all gunked up on the inside, and driving them with some vigor once in a while isn't such a bad thing. Joe from Van City, which is a fun Kia, Forte GT or Hyundai Veloster N manual? Well, Veloster N for sure has much more power. So yes, if it's just based on fun factor, Veloster N. What you would be comparing the Forte GT to is the previously mentioned Elantra GT Sport, or the Sport GT. That's the one. Excuse me. What's the resale market for plug-in hybrid like in Canada? My 330e, so there's a BMW plug-in hybrid. Somebody mentioned no hybrids from BMW. There's one. 330e is nearing the end of my lease. I'm concerned if I buy it out, it'll be hard to sell. You know, the heavy expense battery and its rear-wheel drive. Well, the fact it's rear-wheel drive will certainly have an impact, not all-wheel drive. What I would do is, I'm not sure where you are, but in Canada, you want to go to CanadianBlackBook.com. CanadianBlackBook.com. And you can look at the projected forward residual value. So you could look up your car and say it'll forecast what the depreciation curve is going to look like. Now, I'm kind of in agreement with you. So you've got a first gen plug-in 3 Series. The new one has more range, so people are going to want the new one. The new one also available with all-wheel drive, where yours is just rear-wheel drive. And it's back to the analogy I had a moment ago about smartphones. It's like your smartphone is replaced every couple of years with a newer, faster, better one. And that's the case with your 330e. If it's coming towards the end of the lease, my gut feeling is, and you want to run the numbers on this and figure it out, is probably better just to hand the keys back and move on to some, maybe the new 330. Because the new 330 is actually very aggressively priced. They came up with a good price on it. That's the other thing is, this older 330 would have been much more expensive. The new 330, they dropped the price, which is going to affect yours. Just read about a class action suit against Acura MDX and RDX models having deceleration, acceleration problems. Thoughts? I haven't heard that, so I'll look it up when we're done. These sorts of things, you know, lawyers with class action lawsuits, they sniff the chance to make some money. Often they'll go for it. And often car companies will settle because they just want the headache to go away. Is it ever a good idea to trade a 17 CRV turbo with 20,000 kilometers, financing long-term? The battery and engine will have problems. What should I upgrade to, Toyota or Kia? I'm not quite sure on the question. If you've got a 3-year-old CRV, same thing. You can go to CanadianBlackBook.com and you've got 20,000 kilometers, which is very low mileage. That vehicle is still going to be desirable. It's one of the best-selling vehicles in the country, and there's a lot of demand for a vehicle like that, and you've got low mileage on it. There's going to be someone who wants that car. Wouldn't be a problem getting rid of it. For long-term battery and engine, don't sell a vehicle because of the battery. The battery is a cheap replacement part. You can go to Costco and get a new battery. By the way, Costco is a great place to buy a battery. So don't worry about that. And then if you're going to upgrade, well, I do like the RAV4. I think it's a pretty good product. You know what? You've only got 20,000 kilometers on your CRV. Just enjoy it. Just keep driving it. I like this question. George says, hey, Zach, which is better, hard or soft top convertibles in terms of weight? The new Z4, the next generation 4 Series convertible Mercedes SL, is losing the retractable folding hardtop. Well, hardtops are more expensive. They're certainly more problematic when it comes to leaks, squeaks, and rattles. And they take a ton of space in the trunk. So I like soft tops myself. Now, they also have issues. They can be slashed. People will cut them open. They do degrade over time. They can, leak, and they can also, it's just a cloth roof. So there are issues with it. I personally like a cloth roof because I like the fact that it doesn't take up as much space in the trunk. I like the fact that they don't squeak and rattle, like retractable hardtops really squeak and rattle and so on. So I would suggest the soft top is better. The one that I like, it doesn't really get a lot of love, is the Audi A5 convertible. I think it's a really nice car. Don't know what to get. RAV4 hybrid, Mazda CX-5, or Tiguan? Thank you. Well, it all comes down, Ruben, to what your priorities are. If it's just straight fuel economy, RAV4 is an easy one. That's what I would suggest. So, yeah, certainly consider it. I realize a picture up there has been stuck up there. Do you think the COVID recession is going to see Rationalization of manufacturers, cars, and SUV models. We're already seeing that. We're already seeing brands cutting, slashing, and burning. Mercedes-Benz is one. It's not just COVID. It's just basically a lot of car brands are going to be really thinking about what's and COVID is accelerating this. What's selling, what isn't selling. This move to utilities has progressed so quickly. So everybody was moving towards utilities, but in the last 2 years, it's just shot way up. So a lot of brands are kind of flat-footed, and specialty models like special two-doors and coupes and things like that, cost a lot of money to make them and engineer them and to update them. And some brands are just saying, listen, they're not selling that well. People are buying more utilities. Let's focus on what sells. So I think it's not just because of COVID. It's also patterns and trends are changing. Look at how many subcompact cars are being canceled. I think right now you've got 3 cars left in the subcompact class. You've got the Chevy Spark, you've got the Mitsubishi Mirage, and you've got the Kia Rio. For the most part, as far as I can tell, all of the others have been canceled, right? Which is an amazing thing to see. So, I think it's got more to do with the change in taste accelerated by COVID. Trevor's there. Thank you, Trevor. So the question that you had earlier about the SC, bringing a Lexus SC in from the United States into Canada, the website is riv.ca. Trevor, thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. I said it was REV. Anyway, a Registrar of Imported Vehicles. Thank you, Trevor. Jeez, there you go. And he's put it here below. Registrar of Imported Vehicles. It just takes I need a couple of electrodes on the side of my brain to get these things moving along. Yeah. So if you're considering importing a car from the United States, or basically from anywhere, you need to find out if there was any modifications need to be done to that car. Now that you see it, it's so simple to remember. riv.ca is the one you need. So Trevor, thank you very much. Oh, we do have a super chat. Travis is here. Do you have any tips on how to manage upgrade-itis? My SUV from 2015, but all these new SUVs look enticing. Hi from Vancouver, Washington. By the way, our dog, Guinness, is an Irish Terrier, and our dog Guinness is from Vancouver, Washington. So whenever we walk our dog and people say, oh, where did you get him? Where's the breeder? We say he's a Vancouver dog. Vancouver, Washington. And if you don't know, we're not familiar with the West Coast, so you have Portland, and then on the other side of the river is Vancouver, Washington, and the river is the dividing line between the two states, and they're just opposite each other, not that far from Vancouver, Canada. How do you get around upgrade-itis? I think what you do is you just focus on the money and talk yourself out of it. I think that's really all you do, and say to yourself, this is fine. A lot of times when you get something new, it's fun and exciting. Well, I know this from buying many different luxury items. Often the hunting and the searching and the shopping is more fun than the actual getting of the item, right? The hunt and the kill is more enticing than actually eating the food. Right? So that's the same with anything. So I'm into wristwatches. I've mentioned it many times. The search for the wristwatch often is the most fun part. Once you get it, you're like, well, now that I've got it, I'm on to the next one. And I think that's what you're suffering from. So you're in the hunt and kill stage. Once you get it and you start chewing on it, it's just a car. That's my best advice. Hannibal's saying, you missed my super chat. All right, well, let me go back. What the hell? How did I miss that? TK Porsche says, Guards red or carmine red for new Porsche 911. Is carmine red, I'm trying to remember, is that like arena red? I got to look it up. If it's arena red for a new 911, I don't know. Porsche carmine red. Oh, I know that color. Yeah, I would probably go. For me, it's just a personal thing. It's more personal taste. Actually, I'm not a red car guy, so I'm kind of like the last guy to ask. I had my first Porsche was a 993 in arena red. If you remember the poster that says "kills bugs fast" with the 911 turbo, the 993, that was the launch color for that car, and that was the color of my Carrera S. Um, I never wanted that color. I bought the car, not the color. And then once I owned it, man, I fell for that hard. But it was like a burgundy. It was like a wine color. All right, Hannibal. Sorry about that. Hi, is the Volkswagen Tiguan 2017 a good choice? I have a Golf TSI and I was thinking about an SUV. What would you consider buying? Cheap, sport, a VUS? I'm not a huge fan of the Tiguan because of the engine. I mean, it's okay, but it's to me it's kind of underpowered. You're looking for something cheap. If you're looking for a used, you know what? You know one vehicle that I think just does it all day long. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's pretty dull, but it just does everything really, really well. Is the last generation RAV4, or another one if you're looking for a used vehicle is the previous generation Acura RDX. That's a pretty good vehicle. The last gen Acura RDX had the 3.5 liter V6, had the 6-speed. I think they went to an 8-speed automatic eventually, and will just last forever. So that's one to consider. Mark C, another super chat. Sorry about Chrysler question regarding the rollover. I was talking about the Jeep Wrangler. Yeah, I don't know what's in the works for the Jeep Wrangler. I would suspect that anybody who's driving a Jeep Wrangler should be aware of the fact that it's a high center of gravity vehicle with a body on frame design. I think that, if you're wanting to have a car-like ride out of a Wrangler, you should probably look elsewhere. My super chats aren't popping up, so I apologize to everybody who did them. Make sure I got them all. Travis is back. You missed Hannibal's super chat. So Travis did a super chat to let me know about Hannibal's super chat. I might be onto something here. I missed the super chats, then I get other super chats to talk about the old super chats, and I double down on the super chats. I could do that. All right. We have 82 thumbs up with almost 200 people on board. Hit the thumbs up. So I apologize about the super chats. I missed that. All right. Is it difficult to drive a 911 Carrera S in snowy weather in Ontario? Are winter tires needed? Well, Ben Logic says yes. I have gone to 2 or 3 what they call Camp 4 Canadas or Porsche driving experience, the winter driving experience in Macaglis, Quebec, and it is loads of fun. And if you can afford to go and do that program, it's 3 days and you drive their cars with professional instructors and you stay at a very nice hotel, you get great food. And then you pay and you just have to get there. And then once you're there for the 3 days, you get to drive the cars on a frozen, basically, playground. And you learn all of the intricacies of driving a Porsche in the winter. So if you've never done this and you own a Porsche, it might be worth the money. It's not inexpensive, but if you can afford a new 911, for example, it might be worth the investment. It's loads of fun. And if you buy the right tires, you can drive a Porsche all year round, not a problem. And they are actually quite good in the snow. And you can also learn, because the engine is at the back of the car, what they do is they teach you how to get it into a corner and you flick the back end around and you can just hold it and then they flick it the other way and you just learn the balance of the car. It's loads of fun. So the answer to your question is hell yeah, you can drive Carrera if you put the right winter tires on it. What do you think about purchasing a BMW 2 Series 230 Coupe specifically? I like the 235 or the 240 more. So that is the turbo 4-cylinder engine. Now, it is a small car. There's nothing wrong with that. I would prefer to go for the inline 6-cylinder engine. So it was called the 235, and then they changed the name to 240. That's the one I would look for. So if it was me, I would look, if you couldn't afford the 240 new, I would look for like a 2 or 3 year old version of the 240 and buy that. That is just, that in my opinion is the best car in the BMW lineup. Which used luxury SUV crossover is most reliable? Buy a Lexus. Just get a Lexus. Your follow-up is they seem to have good resale value, the 2 Series Coupe. Yeah, I stand by my point. If you can afford it and you can find one, get a 235 or a 240. It's available with rear-wheel drive. It's available with all-wheel drive. It's available with manual, and it's available with automatic. However, if you want manual, you have to go just rear-wheel drive. Something to consider. What do you think of Mitsubishi in North America? Mitsubishi left Europe and UK market. Will the brand survive? Well, I've been in contact with Mitsubishi PR department here in Canada, and they actually sent an email out talking about their upcoming models, and they have plans for next year. So I'm not hearing anything about them going away in Canada. Oh my goodness, look at the time. We're at an hour. Let me see if there's any other super chats I missed. Hannibal is saying, thanks, Trevor Morris McKell, for doing the super chat. All right, we are done and done. Don't forget, if you want to get your picture in, send it to Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. Don't forget to sign up for Car Cost Canada. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH. And if you're having a beer, don't drive. All right, we'll see you next time on Monday. Cheers, everybody. I'm going to eat chicken. Take care.